See a bard in the corner. Hi everyone, it's Bardic Whispers here. I wanted to go through a little one-shot that I thought was pretty cool by the time I sort of finalised and finished it up. Last week I had to scramble a one-shot. I didn't have enough of my players able to play the main campaign, and a few wanted to keep playing, so they asked for a little one-shot that we could continue to play, so I quickly had to think that up in sort of half an hour, 40 minutes, which is okay, but then even then it's sort of like it didn't really work out where other people had to back out and it wasn't really sort of feasible for us to play a session. So anyway, I still made it and had a quick look at what we could do. So what I'm going to do is just sort of explain what happened and what I thought that one shot would be, and could be a fun little thing for us to sort of explore, have a look at and think about how you would play this session. I'm also thinking about potentially doing something like this where we can create one shots in this, and I can sort of, as a meditative aspect, talk through and walk through what's happening in those things, and sort of you can sort of interpret and listen as you go along, and figure out what you would do and stuff. I'm also thinking about using World Anvil to create a Bardic Whispers campaign that everyone can play. Maybe set up on Roll20 where a lot of people can come in and play and have a little bit of fun, so keep an eye out for that. Not sure if I'm going to really do it, but it could be a little bit of fun. So, first of all, let's do the settings, thinking sort of like cyberpunk kind of aspects. So, I immediately thought of Sharn in the Eberron campaign, or the Eberron module. So Sharn, City of Towers, 151. So I see Sharn as sort of like a little bit like Coruscant in the things. So you can see here this kind of nightclub, blue light aspect and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Big towers and everything, City of Towers. Different sections, the aftermath of war, physical damage, but emotional damage was still there. So you can fall, so falling in Sharn, fall hundreds of feet to the ground and stuff. So this is sort of like a little bit Tron-like and stuff. So like Tron, Coruscant, where you've got like these big towers, can't necessarily see the ground, or it's sort of like this underground thing you don't necessarily go to. You stay in these towers and the floating vehicles are flying around. So there's a whole bunch of different aspects of what's going on, but basically that's the setting. So it's going to be sort of a rainy cyberpunk, like Blade Runner 2049 kind of thing, where Ryan Gosling's running around in that aspect. So rainy, bit dungy, like run down and everything. Lots of sort of holograms, lights, minor images and major images and everything, projections and stuff. So we're going to start off with just going into a tavern, as you do. And the tavern was going to be called the Garbage Box. So in the middle of the lower levels, there was going to be a sort of a dive kind of bar where everyone was sort of hanging out and looking at and going through that. And I was going to set up a little sort of like bluff game where you would roll a d20 and add your deception to it, and then you would sort of say if you are you would claim if you are lower or higher than a number, and they would have to roll a number as well and claim if there was lower or higher a set distinct number. So it's kind of like rollies, where it's sort of like you would roll, so 17 for instance, then they would both roll, and then they would say whether or not they're higher or lower. And then we'll sort of define these things. Basically, the rules weren't going to sort of make sense because it was going to be rigged for them to lose. And so they would lose, and it would be sort of an exorbitant amount of money or something, or they didn't have the sort of correct currency or something, so they would have to need to do something in return as a service. And that would sort of get us to the next part of this, where they would have to go into a gladiator sort of battle kind of thing. It's sort of like, and this is where the sort of the Tron aspect comes into play, where they like, you know, you're pitching two people against each other, so they would start doing these jousting matches. The jousting matches would be on a singular rail. Let me draw it up. So you'd have on one of these sky decks, sort of like sky rail things. So you've got like two towers. That'll be on this rail here. So then you've got the battle map would sort of be like that. And you've got one there, just like a joust. And you come back and strike. Whereas you would use an attack roll plus your constitution instead. And this would be so you can actually sort of like not chicken out and actually commit to the battle and stuff. So if your constitution would be sort of like slightly different to your strength or attack modifiers and stuff. You'll be holding a lance, you'll be able to use your other weapons, and it's strictly martial. So then the lance is a 2d12, and you'd be sort of going up against these gladiators that had like 52 hit points or something, so you'd have a couple of rounds. And each person would need to do that, and sort of like it would be a couple of rounds of this jousting and stuff until the countess Vinette would be, right, and she would be on a Valinar horse, which is one of those, essentially a unicorn kind of thing. She'd be clad in black, and she'd be the count, or like, you know, the baroness of Sharn. The people that they would be fighting would be Brick, Tom, and Jobby as the jousts, jousters, and Dusty would have been the gambling person that got them stuck into this thing. So through these different rounds of things, but then realise that also Countess Vinette is playing as well, and she's destroying anyone that she goes up against. So then they would have to sort of fight against this person, and there would be a disadvantage because of Constitution. They're like afraid of this thing, or would do an afraid check first, and then they would come in and fight. Ideally, they would lose to Countess Vinette, but if they won, they would see that she immediately turns into a cloud or a mist and starts floating away if they won. But if they lost, they would be invited up to Count Vanessa's sort of penthouse, sort of talk about how they got there and everything like that. And sort of like talking about how they would enjoy, like she enjoyed the muster of these people and stuff. But steadily they would realise that is a trap, because Countess Vinette would have been actually a vampire. So that would have been really fun to sort of do, because it's like this woman would have sort of slowly just sort of like set them up for this trap and their attack. Like, it's a 3-hour one shot, so you know we would go through these different beats and stuff. This was going to be the main path for it. So a space bird, so just a straight vampire, shape changer. Vampire isn't in sunlight or running water. They can turn into a bat or a medium cloud of mist. Mist is kind of basically just a gaseous form. Legendary resistance 3 times a day. Misty escape, it drops to 0 hit points outside its resting place. It goes to mist and goes back to its thing. So that's why it would turn to mist during the joust and fly back and stuff. So then there's regeneration, so they gain 20 hit points each round. Spider climb, difficult surface something, vampire weakness, forbiddance. They cannot go into the thing, so this would be her space, her coffin and stuff. And you would sort of like as well have these aspects of doing perception checks and insights, and they'd be starting to realise that they're in danger of this vampire that's in close proximity to them. And the polarised windows and stuff to make sure that no light came in or anything like that. Running water is hard by running water. There's essentially 20 acid damage each round. If the reward is stake to the heart and sunlight hypersensitivity, 20 damage of radiant damage. It's paralysed by the stake until it is removed. They have unarmed strike, they have bind, charm, children of the night. And legendary actions move, unarmed strike and bind. They move without provoking opportunity attacks. And everything, so we'd be sort of fighting and then running around and doing this inside this sort of this space. So it'd be a lot of close a lot of close combat aspects and sort of so it was just sort of like a little bit of fun. Like, I mean, it's like you rigged a game sort of to get them into the next step and stuff, and they run around and sort of go through that thing. So it would have just been a little bit of shenanigans and a little bit of fight, like no real stakes or anything like that. Stakes. Not real. If the characters were down and everything, like, it's an outside of the main campaign, so there's sort of like no really sort of loss there, and sort of just a bit of fun, a little bit of a romp to go around and have some fun. So I sort of put that up. I think it'd be an interesting little thing. Like, it needed to be a little bit more fleshed out for me to sort of describe in more fashion, but it's good fun to sort of think of those things and then go through things, and especially with the experience that I've had with these campaigns and doing this YouTube stuff. It's easy to write up things now these days. I think it would be a really little cool little one shot just to sort of have a couple of encounters, a little battle, some jousting, a little bit of fun, sort of, and a little bit of role playing as well. So yeah, but interesting, some of that cyberpunk kind of stuff as well. So it would have been a good little thing. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on me sort of setting up a world or realm, a campaign in which you can all sort of have a little play and take things from or look at as inspiration or anything like that. So it'll be quite a bit of an effort for me to work through it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether or not you wanted to do something like that. Try and create a little bit of a community. We'll see how we go. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your long rest.